Welcome to the presentation on the fear of public speaking. According to the Book of Lists, public speaking ranks first as people's worst fears, with death coming in second, followed by many of these other examples. It has been said that people would rather be in the coffin than give the eulogy. Why is it that we're so apprehensive? One of the first reasons is because of fear itself. Perhaps we're afraid of being judged. It's just too difficult to be in the front of the room, exposed to people, fearful that they will judge you. Additionally, maybe you're afraid of experiencing a new situation. Perhaps you're one of those people that would rather be behind the camera or in the crowd as opposed to out in front of it. And so those new situations can be very daunting. This is a very common reason people are apprehensive, is because they're afraid that they're going to make a mistake. The need to be perfect and flawless is one that many people strive for. And in reality, your audience would rather have you authentic than polished. And the desire to not make mistakes can lead to a high level of apprehension. Another reason fear might make you apprehensive is that you might be afraid of the formality of speaking. Perhaps being in front of a room and speaking professionally, dressing professionally, saying words and sharing research and data professionally, and all the formality behind it might make it a difficult situation for you. The final reason you might let fear lead you to apprehension is because that you're afraid you won't measure up to perhaps the person who went before you or another member in the class who has a better set of skills than you do. And so you become fearful that you don't measure up to the rest of your class members. In addition to fear being a reason that you are apprehensive, another reason is because of shame. Maybe there's something about yourself that you're embarrassed about, either the way you look or something that happened and you just can't get over it. Or maybe you're shamed of something that happened in the past. Maybe a public speaking experience that went awry prior to this presentation, and you just are so apprehensive that it's making you not want to present again. And although fear and shame are very, very common reasons that people are apprehensive, so is the idea of being self-conscious. Maybe you're self-conscious of speaking in front of large groups, or perhaps small groups, or maybe groups of people that you don't know, or conversely, groups of people that you do know. But the group dynamics can definitely add to the apprehension. Another reason you might be self-conscious is because of your self-image or how you perceive yourself. Perhaps there's something about yourself that you are very insecure about, your voice, your tone, your size, an accent. And this can make you feel frozen and very unsure as a public speaker. And obviously there are people out there that are self-conscious about their abilities. You just know it's not your thing. And so when you know it's not your thing, or you think it's not your thing, you don't want to do it. And this can be very difficult. Another reason why you might be apprehensive is the idea that you're unprepared. This is one of the only things that you can control in a speech. And in those times that you are unprepared, you just know you're probably not going to be able to pull it off. And so it makes you fearful. There's trepidation throughout, and it's very difficult to be successful on all levels, whether it's your delivery or your message, because you're just not ready. And finally, another reason that you might have high apprehension is because you know you're being evaluated or graded or assigned value for that final product. So eventually, we'll talk about ways to overcome these reasons that we're apprehensive or these sources of fear. But before we do that, I want to mention a few more thinking sins of public speaking. And this comes from Olivia Mitchell and her book called Nervousness. The first thinking sin of public speaking, according to Olivia, is that you need to have a perfect presentation. The truth of the matter is there's no such thing as a perfect presentation. And it's not really a laudable goal. Audiences prefer authentic to polished. They prefer conversational to slick. It's normal to stumble over a word or forget for a moment what you want to say next. Your audience will forgive you. So your goal is to forge a connection with your audience. Focus on that. Don't focus on the perfection of your speech. Accept that you will make mistakes. That is human and just fine. The second thinking sin is that you must be interesting and engaging. It's a tall order to say that you must be interesting and engaging at all times. Sometimes people in an audience tend to drift off in their own thoughts for a moment, or maybe they're just exhausted from something that happened the night before. It's not about you. Your goal is to be interesting and engaging, or at least try to be. Focus on the people who are connecting with you. They will be your energy chargers. The people who aren't paying attention to you are your energy suckers. The third thinking sin is that you must not forget anything. The truth is that you're the only one who knows exactly what you're going to say. Your audience probably won't even notice. Your goal is to remember the key points in your presentation. Have notes and take time to look at them. If you know that you find looking at notes difficult in a presentation, then just practice. Practice with people in front of you, look at your notes, and get a good handle on it. The next thinking sin is that you need to know more about your topic than anybody else in the class. Truth is, no, you don't. This is a recipe for over-researching and stress. There will often be people in the audience who are knowledgeable and know a lot about your topic. Your job as a presenter to not know more than anyone else, but to communicate and to explain what you do know with your own perspective. Perhaps you think that you must be able to answer any questions. Again, this speaks to the over-researching and stress. You're not expected to know the answer to every question. Be comfortable saying, I don't know. Be comfortable saying, let me look into that. That's a good idea. But don't overstress about knowing everything. I must not show signs of nerves. Just about everybody can relate to having some nervousness from public speaking. So most people in your audience will feel empathy. As long as you've done your preparation and have useful, well-organized content that meets their needs, they will forgive your nervousness. It will be a disaster if I can't get the visuals to work. No, it won't. Speeches and presentations can exist without visuals. We're often told stories of conferences when the technology stopped working right in the middle of the presentation. As long as you are prepared and you take reasonable steps to ensure the technology will work, that's all that you can control. My suggestion is to arrive in plenty of time to set up everything. Have your slideshow on a flash drive, perhaps in Google Docs. Email it to yourself. Bring it to the presentation in as many formats as you possibly can. And the eighth bonus sin is that your mind will go blank and you will die of humiliation. The truth is you can handle this. You've probably handled far worse things in your life. Mind blanks happen. Accept that that's possible, but do what you can to prepare. I suggest preparing by using very effective and helpful note cards. One way to avoid having your mind going blank is to create a note card in the correct way. Here's an example of a note card that had some good elements, like color, arrows, and symbols. I like a lot of what is going on, but what I don't like here is that it's too text heavy. And it could lead to that eighth sin, that your mind will go blank, and you won't necessarily know where to find your spot with the use of this card. This next note card, on the other hand, might be more helpful. You see that it still utilizes color to do a similar thing, but it also utilizes more key phrases rather than full sentences. And look how it divides the card into sections to guide the speaker better if they visually lose their spot. If they lose their spot, they could visually figure out where they are, and it will help with your mind going blank. This speaker makes that card look a little bit more different. Again, sections are sectioned off. Color is used, and even less words. And one final example that could help with a mind blank is strictly using these pictures. This is a visual learner's paradise. They used this card the best way they knew how to deliver a speech and not lose their spot. So we've talked about sources of fear, and hopefully you've identified a few in yourself. Now let's talk about some specific ways to overcome the fear of public speaking. The first way is to realize your source of fear. In a nutshell, it's not knowing what will happen when you're in front of people giving your speech or presentation. Your fear is not that you don't know your topic, it's that you don't know what will happen when you step to the podium. If you are coming from an authentic place, you can cover your material with clarity, then you've won 3/4 of that inner battle with fear. Face down your fears. If you feel your knees turning to jelly out of fear, remind yourself that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. F-E-A-R. Almost certainly whatever it is that you are frightened of won't happen. Prepare. Make sure you know the material that you are going to cover. Make a solid outline. Break it up into parts and make a really effective note card. And use your note cards when rehearsing. I suggest that you rehearse your presentation about 10 times. When I say that, I do not mean 10 times from beginning to end. I mean to break it down. Perhaps the first time will be only doing your introduction. The second time can be only doing your conclusion. The third time is doing it from beginning to end with a timer. Then do it standing up in front of the room. Then do it to your dog. Then record yourself. Then go to the writing, reading, speech assistance area and practice in their speech studio. Then practice with your visuals. But each time change up how it is you practice your speech so that you're not over-prepared, but you are ready. I mentioned that recording is a really excellent way to practice your speech. This will help you get some of those nervous jitters out. Relax and breathe deeply. There is a breathing exercise that you can do that will relax your body and mind. Athletes use it, people who practice yoga use it, and it's the idea of diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing is basically breathing from your abdomen or your belly. And it's done by breathing in and making your belly fill up like a balloon behind the belly button or where your belt buckle would land. Holding that, and as you exhale, deflating that belly. If you put your hand on your belly button and you breathe in slowly through your nose so that your stomach moves out against your hand, that is diaphragmatic or abdominal breathing. Then when you exhale, your stomach will deflate. Diaphragmatic breathing has been proven to help with speech anxiety or any anxiety for high-stress situations. It physiologically slows the body down. It takes care of jitters. Sometimes it even alleviates sweating, red face, red neck, and wet palms. In addition to relaxing and diaphragmatic breathing, I recommend the use of the power pose while relaxing. Amy Cuddy is a social psychologist who does a TED Talk called Your Body Language Shapes Who You Are. And basically, she does an experiment where testosterone and cortisol levels are taken before and after powerful poses are struck by her subjects. And a powerful pose is one where you stand in the front of the room or prior to a high-stress situation very powerfully with your arms out to the side or up in the air and your body in a wide open stance so that you feel like a powerful person, as opposed to sitting with your legs crossed and your arms crossed. And Amy Cuddy proved that in any high-stress situation, if you strike this powerful pose for 2 minutes prior to the high-stress situation, you will do better in that situation. You will be more successful. It's basically faking it till you make it. You're still stressed, but you are using your body language to tell yourself that you're not. And if you fake it till you make it, eventually you become it. So try the abdominal breathing or the power poses, or this next idea, these wall pushes. This was actually used by Yul Brynner, who was a Broadway star in the musical The King and I. And he would stand about 18 inches from the wall and place his palms flat on it, and he would push against the wall. And as he pushed, his abdominal muscles would contract. When he breathed out, he would hiss and contract his muscles below his rib cage, as if he were rowing a boat against the current. This banishes many feelings of stage fright. These things are very good to do in a quiet place before you go to your presentation. Focus while relaxing. While sitting in your desk or prior to any high-stress situation, consider placing your hand on your forehead and pressing gently on the bony points and doing some concentric circles. Do 10 forward and 10 backward. This will bring the blood to the parts of the brain that need it to present your speech best. Be aware that adrenaline that is sending this blood rushing to the brain is sending it specifically to the fight or flight centers of your brain at the base of your skull. So this is a wonderful technique that's easy to do and prepares you for a successful presentation. So we've identified our sources of fear and we've come up with several ways to overcome them. Fear is common in every single presenter. The idea is to turn that fear into energy. Hopefully with these techniques you can do that. Thank you for listening to this workshop, and feel free to join us at the Writing, Reading, Speech Assistance area should you need any more assistance.